Welcome to Shelf Help, a channel dedicated to talking into the void about whatever book I happen to be reading. I'm your host, the reader. The following review will contain spoilers. So, Lindsay Ellis published a book, and I, a much smaller YouTuber, have decided to review it. I'd like to state firmly that this is in no way a form of coattail riding, because that would be wrong. Okay, in all seriousness, this feels a bit like a Kobayashi Maru. Good or bad, I could be slammed for this. The best I can be is fair. Just a disclaimer, I'm in no way affiliated with Miss Ellis. I bought this book myself, and so I will give it the same treatment as I give other reviews. If you are familiar with Mrs. Ellis' work, and if you aren't, you really should go watch a few of her videos, especially the one about the Omegaverse. You know she tends to deep dive into topics, so it's not surprising that this book is high concept. Therefore, I'm going to split this into the concepts and the story proper. One of the main themes of this story is that truth is a human right. But what is truth? No, really, what is truth? It is a collection of facts that comport with reality. But we're learning new things every day. Plus, given a set of facts, two people may come to very different conclusions. For example, are we all a product of a divine creator god guided towards a specific goal? Or are we a bunch of star stuff created by random chance with no goal in mind? Which brings us to axioms. According to Merriam-Webster, an axiom is a statement accepted as true as the basis for an argument or inference, an established rule or principle or self-assumed truth, a maxim widely accepted on its intrinsic merit. Notice how all those say accepted and self-evident. That doesn't mean it's true. At one point, it was accepted that the earth was flat. It was accepted that the earth was the center of the universe. It was accepted that the sun was the center of the universe. None of these things are actually true and never were. Just accepted by those who lacked the information to know better. We use axioms all the time. We have to. First, because of the black swan effect, but I'll get back to that. Second, so that a discussion can even take place. Axioms allow us to make sure everyone is on the same page. For example, dogs evolved from wolves. That's not technically true. Dogs and wolves share a LUCA, last universal common ancestor. That is to say that the animals that became the modern dog had already diverged from the animals that would become the modern wolves. How large that divergence was is still up for debate. But for the sake of a layman discussion, we simply go with the axiom, dogs descended from wolves. It lets us make sure we're all on the same starting point to continue the discussion we want to have. The axiom ends when the underlying assumptions fall apart. Say we found a fossil that proves dogs descended from elephants. One of the axioms of this book is that humans constitute intelligent life. I can hear you typing in the comments already. But hear me out. How do we measure intelligence? Raise your hand if the first thing you thought of was an IQ test. Here's the thing. IQ tests are bullshit. Science has yet to agree on a way to measure intellect. Or even if it can be measured. There's also the cultural variant, where different cultures hold particular skills in high regard. That is to say, if you grade a fish on how well it climbs a tree, it will always think it's stupid. Or perhaps more relevant, how many people with advanced degrees can't fix their own car? As for the tests, they're a better gauge of opportunity than actual intelligence. A kid from a poor area, whose textbooks are 2 decades out of date, and may not get 3 healthy meals a day, is not going to do as well as a wealthy counterpart who has the best of everything. So are humans intelligent beings? Well, it's relative. Compared to dogs, sure. And dogs are smarter than birds, and birds are smarter than fish, and fish are smarter than amoeba. Are humans intelligent compared to dolphins? The jury's still out on that one. Dolphins have exhibited abstract thinking we usually only attribute to humans, and since they lack hands, they can't manipulate their environment the same way we can. Are humans intelligent compared to an alien race capable of interstellar travel? Probably not. They would look at us the same way we look at a dog who learned a new trick. Look at those hairless apes, thinking they can get to Mars with controlled explosions of dead dinosaurs. That is so cute. So we're back to the black swan effect. I've talked about this before in my Wanderers review. The short version is, we can't know what we don't know. Galileo could never have dreamed that the sun was on a death spiral with trillions and trillions of other stars towards a black hole from which not even light can escape, that it will stretch us all like twine for eternity before finally sucking us in. And on the other side, we haven't crossed that event horizon yet, and we may never cross it. Einstein did not believe in black holes, even though it was his theorem that helped predict them. Every day we learn new things, and any one of them could radically alter the way we view the universe and our place in it. Which brings us to Cora. She is the daughter of the infamous Niles Ortega, think Snowden, but for aliens. Cora has spent the majority of her life trying to distance herself from her father, which has become increasingly more difficult since the Ampersand event, a meteor strike north of Los Angeles, California. 1 month later, another meteor lands in the exact same spot. That night, Cora finds out her father wasn't as full of shit as she assumed. Cora is a disaffected 90s youth. When we first meet her, she's getting a ride to work from her mother because her car broke down. She used the money her mother gave her to fix the car on concert tickets. So perhaps not the most responsible human being on the planet? She is subsequently captured by the alien, roped into working for the government, learns her aunt has lied to her for her whole life about exactly what she did for a living, and becomes responsible for true first contact. Life comes at you fast. Needless to say, she does a lot of growing up in the story. And most of the story is her time with Ampersand. This is the alien that crashed to Earth in what was dubbed the Ampersand event, thus the moniker. He's an outcast from what he refers to as the superorganism, an advanced civilization not wholly unlike our own. He's responding to a distress call from an alien kept captive here on Earth. He makes Cora his interpreter against her will. He, and I say he simply because Cora assigns him that gender pronoun, is where we get the majority of our philosophizing about intelligent life, the universe, and everything. One point he drives home is how any interaction with any other intelligent life can only end in one way: genocide. Now, he certainly has a good reason to come to this conclusion, and human history does not disagree with him. Just look at the history of colonization if you think otherwise. I don't necessarily disagree on a theoretical level. But on a story level, his own behavior contradicts his assertions. He's perfectly capable of dealing with humans, first Cora, and later with the military and scientists, despite all his ado about being too different. He is very human in his actions and reactions. This leaves him alien in appearance, but not much else. Then there's Niels, Cora's estranged father. He's not really a character as such in this book. He left years ago and has been doing his Snowden impression from Germany. He only shows up in the form of press releases, online newsletters, and people talking about his actions. Mostly the feds. I don't know if he's going to show up in the next book, but for this one, this is about all we see of him. Truth is a human right is Neil's catchphrase. Cora spends the majority of the story trying to find the truth in everyone's lies. People and aliens lie for all sorts of reasons. Her aunt is under an NDA with the government. The CIA agents have an agenda to cover up the facts that they have decided the public can't handle. Ampersand is trying to protect himself and humanity from his own kind. It hurts to know when your family lies to you, even through omission. They're the people we feel we can trust. Cora's aunt, Lucienne, is her father's sister, and as it turns out, worked on a top-secret government project that her brother uncovered. She claims, all the way to the end, she did not reveal it to him. Niels is trying to draw his children to him for his own reasons and benefit. Ampersand provides information only as he sees fit, even while also demanding Cora explain things to him. The feds are, being typical feds for this sort of story, jerks. I find myself questioning the premise, the axiom, if you will. Truth is a human right. Truth is a right. My knee-jerk reaction is to agree. We all need the best information to make informed decisions. And then I turn on the news. This story is set during the Bush administration. And don't get me wrong, Bush was a liar. He used 9/11 as a vehicle for a personal vendetta. We knew it at the time, and experts warned against what he was doing, but he used an emotional argument to drag us into a war we are still mired in today. But I'm coming to this story from the Trump administration. Bush may have been a liar, but Trump is pathological. He lies blatantly and openly and without regard to the consequences. Then he will lie about those lies, sometimes even in the next breath. Whatever is advantageous at the moment is the truth, and we can trust him on that. Experts and fact-checkers can hardly keep pace. By the time the truth is out, he's already piled on a dozen more lies. It's exhausting. And there's a segment of the population who laps it up. They are convinced that there is a cabal of cannibal pedophiles run by Hillary Clinton and the Democrats, and nothing can convince them otherwise. Truth may be right, but I'm wondering if it's relevant. Or maybe I should be asking if humans really are an intelligent species. I'm putting this on my second shelf. This book asks a lot of deep philosophical and moral questions, most of which have no clear answers. Exactly the sort of questions I would expect from Miss Ellis. It asks the reader to take a step back from their view of the world and look at themselves from the outside. What is truth, intelligence, and their limitations? Can we ever really know any of this? Probably not. There will always be more to learn, and every new discovery can fundamentally alter the axioms we live by. From a story perspective, it's a little bit flat. Cora is an everyman character who carries us through the story. Ampersand, for all his alien appearance, still comes off as very human. He provides the bulk of the philosophy, but never expresses any views that are contradictory to human philosophy. The secondary and background characters are okay. The only one that jumps out is Niels, made conspicuous by his absence. Storytelling is an art, and it is also a great vehicle for transmitting ideas. But they work best when the ideas are built into the story, rather than the story built around the ideas. Thank you for your time. I know everyone's mileage will vary, so feel free to leave your thoughts.